I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Visitor Network TV and Channel 99. Our guest today is Gary Klingsporn, the pastor of the First Congregational Church of Nantucket. Gary, welcome.
Thank you, Dan.
Delighted to have you
Great to be here.
How long have you been here?
5 years. We came
years.
in January of 2010.
And you moved from
Minneapolis. We'd been there for 20
years. You thought you were coming to the tropics.
We did, and we did. The first 3 winters we were, but this last one we were not in the tropics any longer.
Right.
Yeah, it was quite a winter.
One of the great things about the Congregational Church is the building that you're in.
Yep.
But a building like that on an island like this requires a lot to keep it going and keep it in shape. What's your latest project?
Well, the latest project is that we're going to be restoring the tower of the Old North Church, as it has been known, on Beacon Hill. It stands up there and the storms pound it in the wintertime. That building was built in 1834 and it had a tower on it originally. They took that down in 1849 because of concerns about wind and damage. And for about 150 years it had no tower and steeple. It just had minarets. But
many people who watch this will remember that when we called them pussycat ears, it was the pussycat ear church. It was 4 little cones, and
that's right.
Not cones per se, but whatever in the corners.
And that changed in 1968 when they came in. They rebuilt and restored the tower beneath it, and they put a 33-foot steeple on top by helicopter. We have some footage of that that's fascinating, and that's when it was restored to the tower, and they removed the other finials and so forth on there, and it's been that way since '68. But we're at a place right now where it's needing restoration, and it's more than painting work.
Is this the whole tower or just the steeple part?
It is the tower beneath the steeple, actually, is the primary place, all the way down from the steeple. We have determined the last time that they painted and did some work up there a few years ago, that paint began to peel quickly. And so we've done a lot of study of that and determined that we need to rebuild a portion of that tower. It's getting moisture in the wood. We need to seal it differently and use different materials to repair it. Plus the beautiful windows on the front facade are needing to be reglazed and puttied and so forth. So it would be the whole front facade of the church and that tower up to the steeple level that will be the primary project we're in. It's about
How long a time is it estimated to take to do the restoration?
We're looking at next summer from late June to early October. So it'll occupy July and August and part of, or most of September probably.
So you're going to do it at the height of the season?
We're going to do it right in the middle of the summer season, right. It'll be scaffolding all up the front and work on. So it's the kind of work that you want folks who are used to preserving historic structures, and they know the preservationist work, and so it's hard you've got to get the right people, and we feel like we've gotten to the bottom of the problem to be able to rebuild that in a way that in the future it will endure much longer than it has in recent years. So,
are you going to use different external materials, do you think?
They are going to use some different a different kind of lumber. They'll replace a certain section. If you drive by the church right now and you glance up there, you'll readily see the area we're talking about because the paint continues to peel and it's weather beaten. That part we actually will rebuild with a certain kind of lumber that the technicalities of that I'm not as versed on, but they've done some research on that in terms of the best way to not only use a different lumber but to seal it in a way that it still breathes, but we're not getting the moisture in that we get with the wind-driven moisture in the wintertime. That then is coming into the wood, and they've tested moisture in the wood all up and down that tower, and so the objective is to solve that problem once and for all.
This doesn't come cheap, I imagine.
It does not. Yeah.
What are we talking about?
That project is estimated about $800,000. It's going to be close to $1 million, and that includes also some exterior of the summer church work, some repainting on that front up around the eaves. But the majority of it is really about the scaffolding, the windows, and the tower. $800,000.
Not a small challenge.
Not a small challenge
for a church here.
But this church has always been a community church, and that goes way back to the beginning. Congregational churches especially emphasize that, and so we're reaching out to the community to make them aware of that and to help us. We want to invite them into that process, just as we invite them into all kinds of programs that we do, whether it's musical concerts or theater or a lot of the programs that we have groups in for down in the basement or other portions of the church, AA and English as a second language, Bulgarian education, all those kinds of things. So we want to continue to be able to do that and at the same time preserve the beauty of that as an iconic landmark on the island. So we always see it from the ferry, and it welcomes visitors, and we know we're being welcomed home by that and other landmarks on the island. We want to keep that that beautiful landscape just the way it is, and you come into the harbor.
That's wonderful. Have you geared up and started raising the money?
We have. We've started that, and I should mention that there's another project going on at the same time in this fund drive that we're doing, and that's internal down underneath the Old North Vestry in the back of the church. We're going to be excavating and enlarging, renovating the basement for all kinds of activities, children's ministry, nursery, youth, and also community events that we do, like fair or other community groups that come in. That's about a $2 million project that is in the back of the church. And so we're doing them at the same time. It's a $3 million fund drive altogether that we're doing. But our first part of this conversation was about the tower, and that's where we're especially reaching out to the community because of the the joint possibilities in that for us to gather together around that. Whereas the other project is a congregational project. It also has community implications, but we're working on that at the same time. And yes,
more internally.
More internally. Although it has community implications, we're focusing on our membership and our friends of the church and folks who are connected to the church. But the front tower and facade, because of its obvious community implications, we're hoping to do joint work together on that. Bennett Hall in 1936 was built jointly with church and community funds. That was a wonderful joint partnership, and so we feel very strongly that Bennett Hall, for example, should continue to serve the community in the ways, and we want the community there. They're in the Nantucket Film Festival right now, folks streaming up the walk, and we were delighted to see that and to have that. I think the tower serves a similar kind of function in the community. We have about 4,000 visitors who go up in the tower every summer, and we probably have 6 to 7, maybe 8,000 who visit the church, many of whom don't go up, but they want to come see the Old North Church. And so that plus weddings, we had a lot of weddings there. We just want to preserve that landmark and the beauty of it.
Anybody who sees this and has moved to contribute should call the church?
That'd be great. You can call the church. You can go on the church website, and on the website right now, there is just on the home page. There's a picture of the Fund Drive logo and of the tower, and donate now right there. And I should mention too that if anyone in the community, organization, or individual wants to contribute only to the tower portion of this, we track those gifts, and they will be designated only for that front facade, the kind of things we've talked about. If they want to give to the Hope Project, that's great, but we track those separately for the tower if someone wants to give to that purpose. The other way that one can make a donation is in the Community Foundation for Nantucket. We have a special fund set up there. So if anyone would like to contribute that way directly to the Community Foundation, that's a great way to do it. And go on the Community Foundation for Nantucket website, and there's a tower fund for First Congregational Church there. Great. And that goes only to the tower, only to the front facade, to the landmark historic preservation.
Great. Let me change gears in the couple of minutes we've got left and just say, what's been your impression of Nantucket since you've been here? Was it different than you expected? What has been your
I think
reaction?
The main thing I would say about that is the rich diversity of this island that I don't think we have a sense of when we just visit the island, but you come here to live and you see the diversity of people's backgrounds. They come from all over the world, as we all know. But when you begin to understand some of the history of that and the richness of that diversity. People from all over the country, people from other countries who are working and living here. I think that richness and that diversity is one of the biggest surprises that my wife and I have had, and that's been a pleasant surprise. This is a very warm and welcoming place. We're used to welcoming visitors. But it's also, I think, due to the fact that people are here from all over, in addition to the native Nantucketers and Nantucket rich history there. It's a wonderful mix of people, and we love that. Not to mention, of course, we knew the island was beautiful. We were looking forward to coming. This is a warm and friendly, welcoming church, and the faith communities here are great. But I think that diversity is the thing that surprises us the most, and the more we learn about that,
it has both its benefits and its challenges.
And it does. The challenge is another piece of that, as we know, things like affordable housing and for folks to live here, professional school teachers, hospital workers, and others who come to work here, and families. How do we do that? So it has those challenges as well, but it's well worth it to have the richness of the culture that is here and the rich history behind it. So I think that's the thing I would name at the top of the list on pleasant surprises.
Well, Gary, thank you very much for being with us, for sharing the information about your drive to preserve a very important, as you say, icon of the Nantucket skyline.
Yep, it is.
And good luck with that, and thank you.
Thanks.
It's great to see you.
Anybody has
Gary.
any questions, have them get in touch with us. We got a brochure for the community. They can read all about the detail of this. So thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Gary
Appreciate it.
Klingsporn.